Bulbasaur, known as Fushigidane in Japan, is a poker copyright Mon species in Nintendo and Game Freak's poker copyright Mon franchise. Designed by Ken Sugimori, their name is a combination of the words bulb and dinosaur. First appearing in poker copyright Mon Red and Blue as a starter poker copyright Mon, they later appeared in subsequent sequels, spin-off games, related merchandise, and animated and printed adaptations of the franchise. Known as the Seed Poker copyright Mon, Bulbasaur can survive for days solely on sunlight. It is a central character in the anime, being one of Ash's main poker copyright Mon for the first season, and a different one later being obtained by May. It is featured in various manga, and is owned by protagonist Red in the poker copyright Mon Adventures manga. Bulbasaur has been featured in myriad pieces of merchandise, including toys, keychains, and plush dolls. Conception and design. The design and art direction for Bulbasaur was provided by Ken Sugimori, a friend of the creator of the poker copyright Mon games, Satoshi Tajiri. The species first appeared as one of 3 starter poker copyright Mon the player could choose from at the beginning of the initial Game Boy games, Poker Copyright Mon Red and Blue, released in Japan in 1996. Its Japanese name, Fushigidane, is a combination of the Japanese words for mystery or miracle and seed. In translating the game for English-speaking audiences, Nintendo gave the poker copyright Mon cleverly descriptive names related to their appearance or features as a means to make the characters more relatable to American children. Thus Bulbasaur, relating to both its dinosaur appearance and the large garlic-shaped bulb on its back. The idea to feature Bulbasaur and the other red and blue starters in a significant role in poker copyright Mon X and Y came about a year and a half into the development of the games. The Mega Evolutions for the 3 poker copyright Mon's final forms were created, and the designers decided that they should give players an opportunity to find one of these poker copyright Mon in order to see their Mega Evolved form. Characteristics. In the poker copyright Mon franchise, Bulbasaur are small, squat reptilian and frog poker copyright Mon that move on all 4 legs, and have light blue-green bodies with darker blue-green spots. As a Bulbasaur undergoes evolution into Ivysaur and then later into Venusaur, the bulb on its back blossoms into a large flower. The seed on a Bulbasaur's back is planted at birth and then sprouts and grows larger as the Bulbasaur grows. The bulb absorbs sunlight which makes it grow. For this reason, Bulbasaur enjoys soaking up the sun's rays, and can survive for days without eating because the bulb stores energy. The distinctive differences of Bulbasaur from other poker copyright Mon such as Diglett are well understood by children and so motivate their play and trading of the creature. Appearances. In the video games. Bulbasaur made its video game debut on February 27, 1996, in the Japanese-language games Pocket Monsters Red and Green. Along with Charmander and Squirtle, Bulbasaur is a starter poker copyright Mon the player can choose from at the beginning of the games. Bulbasaur's grass type is in contrast to Charmander's fire type and Squirtle's water type. Bulbasaur and the other starters from Red and Blue are replaced by Pikachu in poker copyright Mon Yellow, the only starter available in it. Instead, they are obtained throughout the game from several trainers. In poker copyright Mon Fire and Leaf Green, remakes of Red and Blue, Bulbasaur is selectable as a starter poker copyright Mon once again, along with Charmander and Squirtle. In poker copyright Mon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, after obtaining all 16 badges and defeating Red, the player can choose to obtain either Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle. In poker copyright Mon X and Y, players can also choose between Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle near the start of the game shortly after having chosen the game's new starter poker copyright Mon. The Nintendo 64 spin-off Poker Copyright Mon Stadium, and other spin-offs such as Poker Copyright Mon Mystery Dungeon, give the player a choice of a Bulbasaur, and in Poker Copyright Mon Snap, Bulbasaur are one of the Poker Copyright Mon that the player can photograph. It also appears in Poker Copyright Mon Puzzle League as one of Ash's Poker Copyright Mon. Bulbasaur also appears in Hey You, Pikachu, as a supporting character who lives in the Oak Woods and makes the 5 recipes with Pikachu's help. In Super Smash Bros. Melee and Brawl, Bulbasaur appears as one of the obtainable trophies. Bulbasaur appears in Poker Copyright Parkway, Pikachu's adventure as the host of a mini-game called Daring Dash. In the anime scenes from the Poker Copyright Mon anime have depicted both the characters Ash and May training a Bulbasaur at different times, with Ash's Bulbasaur garnering more prominence within the storylines. Ash, a Euro-unregistered trademark S Bulbasaur, has remained with Ash longer than all of his other Poker Copyright Mon, with the exception of his Pikachu. Before joining Ash's team, it lived with a girl named Melanie, who took care of abandoned Poker Copyright Mon. Bulbasaur was given to Ash, but it was pessimistic about him. However, its loyalties began to improve and it eventually became one of Ash's most faithful Poker Copyright Mon. May catches a Bulbasaur while traveling in a grass-type Poker Copyright Mon nature reserve during her journey in Hern. Bulbasaur defends her from the other grass Poker Copyright Mon in the forest, who see her as a threat, and when May leaves, Bulbasaur decides to go with her. She later makes a guest appearance on the series and it is revealed that her Bulbasaur has fully evolved into a Venusiao. In the original Japanese version, the two Bulbasaur are each played by separate voice actresses, Ash's Bulbasaur by Megumi Hayashibara and May's by Miyako Ito. In the English dub, they are both voiced by Tara Jane until Michelle Knotts took over the job for the 9th season. In other media, Bulbasaur is featured in an eclectic range of different Poker Copyright Mon manga series. In Poker Copyright Mon, Pikachu Shocks Back, Electric Pikachu Boogaloo, and Surfer Euro-unregistered trademark S Up, Pikachu, which loosely parallel the storyline of the anime. Pikachu is separated from Ash temporarily, and travels with a Bulbasaur to a secret Poker Copyright Mon village in the mountains. Later, Ash finds Pikachu and catches the Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur accompanies Ash throughout his journeys in the Orange Islands, and eventually fights in the final showdown with Drake, the Orange Crew Supreme Gym Leader. In Magical Poker Copyright Mon Journey, a character named Pistachio has a female Bulbasaur, who is infatuated by him. In Poker Copyright Mon Adventures, a manga based on the plot of the Poker Copyright Mon Red and Blue games, the character Red receives a Bulbasaur from Professor Oak, which he nicknames Sour. In Chapter 15, Wartortle Wars, it evolves into an Ivysaur after battling a wild Mankey. Bulbasaur is the main character of two Poker Copyright Mon children's books, Poker Copyright Mon Tales Volume 3, Bulbasaur Euro-unregistered trademark S Trouble and Bulbasaur Euro-unregistered trademark S Bad Day, published in 1999 and 2000 respectively by Sagebrush. In Poker Copyright Mon Tales Volume 3, Bulbasaur Euro-unregistered trademark S Trouble, Bulbasaur resolves an argument between two other Poker Copyright Mon. In Bulbasaur Euro-unregistered trademark S Bad Day, Meowth traps Bulbasaur in a pit and it has to outwit Team Rocket to escape. Promotion and merchandising. Bulbasaur has been featured in varying pieces of merchandise, including toys and plush dolls. Bulbasaur has been depicted in action figures sold by Hasbro in the United States, while Tomy in Japan sold extensive merchandise of the character, including vinyl dolls, wind-up model kits, and terrycloth bin bags. It has also been used in promotional merchandising at fast food chains such as McDonald's and Burger King. Bulbasaur has also been included in various versions of the Poker Copyright Mon painting on ANA Boeing 767s. The island nation of Niue issued a commemorative coin with a legal tender value of 1 crown which has a Bulbasaur on the reverse side. Reception and legacy. IGN named Bulbasaur the 52nd best Poker Copyright Mon. IGN author Audrey Drake noted that she had a very special attachment to it due to it being her first Poker Copyright Mon. She stated that it may be her favorite. Game Informer also included it in its list of the best Poker Copyright Mon at number 03. Author Adele Harmon noted the choice between these three Poker Copyright Mon as the most important one in the series' history. Game Revolution called Bulbasaur the best Poker Copyright Mon ever. Author Alex Osborne stated that it embodies the charm that makes Poker Copyright Mon what it is. He called it his personal favorite. Fellow Game Revolution editor Daniel Biscoff noted it as his favorite poker copyright mon as well. Nintendo World Report's Pedro Hernandez also called it his favorite poker copyright mon. He noted that it represented a number of firsts for him, including his first episode of the poker copyright mon anime, his first poker copyright mon, and the first poker copyright mon he saw in 3D. He also attributes Bulbasaur to the reason he became interested in the poker copyright mon series. Official Nintendo magazine Euro's John Vikinis attributed his love of grass-type poker copyright mon to Bulbasaur in spite of the grass-type's weaknesses. Official Nintendo magazine readers voted Bulbasaur the second best grass-type poker copyright mon. Author Thomas East noted that he looked better than his later forms. Their readers also named it the best starting poker copyright mon. Games TM called it the best starting poker copyright mon for Red and Blue. CNN reporter Dennis Michael described Bulbasaur as one of the lead critters of the games and perhaps the Carmen Miranda of poker copyright mon figures. Bulbasaur was selected as one of the top 10 poker copyright mon by fans who voted at Pokemon.com. In an IGN biography page, Bulbasaur is described as the odd man out in the poker copyright mon Red and Blue game because it represented neither color, thought added Euro unregistered trademark S perhaps the best-known grass-type poker copyright mon, even though Euro unregistered trademark S a little bit more animal than vegetable, as well as noting its popularity with new players of the games. IGN editor Poker copyright mon of the day Chick agreed, despite the fact its later evolutions were slightly eclipsed by Charizard, and also praised the anime incarnation for its attitude. Games Radar editor Brett Elston described Bulbasaur as being popular for more than just being the first poker copyright mon numerically, citing its moveset and evolutions. Fellow Games Radar editor Carolyn Goodmanson, in an article on the top 7 gut-wrenching choices, listed the choice between fire, grass, or water with Bulbasaur a frontrunner, due to being a dinosaur as well as being grass-type, though found its later evolutions ugly and charmless. According to a panel of 5 to 8-year-olds assembled by the Honolulu Star Bulletin in 1999, Bulbasaur was one of the children's 3 favorite poker copyright mon. One boy in a study by Daphne Lemish and Linda Renee Block identified with Bulbasaur's attributes of being strong and also cute. Lemish and Renee Block feel that the importance of cuteness is an example of the appropriation of Japanese values in an Israeli context, and note that boys' desire for strength has been correlated with a desire for social interaction. References. External links. Bulbasaur on Bulbapedia, Bulbasaur on Poke Dream, Bulbasaur at the Internet Movie Database.